Hello, friends, and thank you for joining for the yet another episode of Ordinary to Extraordinary. And I'm very happy to welcome all of you and our guest today. We have with us Mona Abdulrahim-Santl, an inspirational human being, owner and managing director of Mind Your Power, and she have lot of interesting accolades which I just want to highlight with all of you. As a founder of the Lebanese Syndicate of Hypnotherapists, behavioral and emotional intelligence coach, entrepreneur, learning and development specialist, NLP and hypnotherapy instructor, and founder of Hypno-Parenting. It is an honor to have you, Mona, and thanks for accepting my invite to join from ordinary to extraordinary. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Phoebe. Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me and thinking of me. We haven't seen each other since such a long time, and then you reached out. So that was really, it's an honor for me to be here today.
Thank you. And we want to, again, inspire people and help them. Career is not a one-way street where there are shifts, there are turns, there are pivots which happen to all of us at various point of life. And you being in the sector over a period of time, experiencing from airline industry to the learning side and shifts you have made. So I just want to start with this question. How do you inform someone what you do right now, these days?
Excellent question. And you know what? I cannot even answer that perfectly. No, I can. But the thing is, you mentioned so many things when you introduced me. And the first thing that you said is actually what is on my LinkedIn profile. And it's just inspirational human being. And in fact, if you see my business card, it also says human being, because all of these titles that you mentioned afterwards, this is actually not who I am, right? I am just a human being like so many other humans here. And so, yes, I can tell you what I do, and I just want to go back from these titles. I think titles limit people a lot. So, what do I do? Yes, you mentioned earlier when we were just talking. You mentioned 40 years, and yes, I know I'm giving away my age right now, but yes, I 40 years of doing different things. Um, I can say that everything I started doing was about humans, about people. I was always interested in psychology. I was always interested in somehow developing people, helping people, whether it was my own children, whether it's my family later on, or just anyone around me. So I started with psychology, pretty much the basics of psychology, and then psychotherapy. And I very quickly learned that this is actually not exactly what I want to do. So, one thing leads to the other, and I'll go more into details later on and what happened in my life, but one thing leads to the other. And I can say that what I do now most is help people find their extraordinary, if you want, right? I mean, I'm picking up on the title of your podcast here, and it's really finding, whether it's in a personal setting, yeah, what is it that you can do in life, and why do you limit yourself, and how can you do it? Or also in businesses, yeah. So of course, a big part of my work is also the corporate world, and really finding that strength in each and every one. Um, I believe that people are born extraordinary, and we're just hypnotized, if you want, to be not extraordinary, right? We have limitations, and limitations lie in our own minds. So what I do is really help teams get the best out of them, help individuals get the best out of them, help whole organizations work so that they have the results that they want. So I work on 3 different levels. One is corporate, if you want to start with that, and then going into smaller teams, and then, of course, seeing the individual, coaching them, doing therapy, and mainly hypnotherapy, because that really, really goes back to the basics and shows the person what happened in my life that blocked me from advancing where I want to go, from for maybe being afraid of going where I want to go. And yeah, so that's in a nutshell what I do.
Interesting. Yeah. I just want to, I'm curious to, you mentioned that we are all extraordinary, and I like that way
Mm,
in which you
mm,
presented it.
mm.
And sometimes we are, as you have mentioned, the limiting beliefs. Now, I just want to get your story. Like, was there any instances which you experienced which has actually brought that extraordinary in you to the fore, to the front? So that's the question.
That's a question. That's a very good question. Many, many, many instances, Phoebe. Not only one. And I think if I want to go through my life a little bit, one of probably my mentor number one in life was my father.
Hmm.
Because he had also gone through a lot of instances, as you call them, in his life. And one of the things that I learned was, you know what, things happen, but we can
Hmm.
move on. We can move on, and we can take this opportunity of things that happen. It's like that a heat experience in that, right? It's like a heat experience where you say, whoa, something happens, what do I do with it? Do I actually um step back and say, "Ooh, I can't do anything anymore," or do I then say, "How can I use this experience to make myself better?"
Hmm.
So if I want to start, so my father affected me a lot in that way of thinking. And so when I was born in Lebanon. Here's a little bit about my background. My father is half Palestinian, half Turkish, but I was born in Lebanon. My mother is German. And when I was still pretty young, in the 70s, the civil war started in Lebanon, and we had to leave. And this experience is something that I will never forget, because I still look at my photo albums that my mother made at that time. So it was a an experience, a kind of a bad experience, right? There's war, you have to leave a country. But if I look at my photo albums now, you would say it's a nice camping trip. It's a nice vacation. And this is that attitude that I got from my dad. This is this attitude that, you know what, um, things happen, but let's make the best
Yeah.
out of it.
Hmm.
So we had to move away from there. We had to leave a lot of things there and went to Germany. And it was hard for me at the beginning, because it was a culture shock for me. How do you deal with people who have a totally different mentality? I was much younger than my classmates, because in Germany you start school at 6. I started school at 4. I was much younger. I was not welcomed. I had a lot of difficulties and challenges at the beginning. Mm, and then I said, okay, what can I do differently? What can I, and I mean, I was young then, but I said, I don't want to stay in the class where I'm not accepted. I don't want to feel this way. So I decided to change schools, to actually go back a class, just so
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
I felt like I'm accepted in my age group. When you're a teenager, it's a very difficult age.
Hmm.
And start growing up with that mentality. Yeah, start learning that mentality more. So that was one of the big changes that happened in my life, that actually, taught me to take that opportunity and do something that pleases you. And I'm a big believer of, finding something that you're passionate about, something that you like doing, because otherwise you will not form from the ordinary to the extraordinary, like, if I take your words. as an ordinary person, if you limit yourself to
Yeah.
ordinary, you will not be able to really live your full potential. And if you don't like what you do, you will limit yourself. Yeah.
Mm,
So
mm,
that was one experience that I had. And I thought, wow, just by making that shift, just by changing my school, I suddenly felt alive. I suddenly felt who I am. And I went to that really, really shy person who was sitting in a corner and not daring to open my mouth because I was laughed at, to suddenly someone who was full of life and joy, and I really enjoyed the rest of my school life then. um, when that finished, when I finished school, it was the next experience where I said, you know what, I don't like Germany. For all the Germans here, it's not Germany per se, but the main factor was really the weather. And I said, I want to see more. I want to learn more. I want to learn more about people. I had that culture shock at the beginning, but then it transformed into that culture learning, right? Saying, oh my God, people think differently than they think in Lebanon. People behave differently than they behaved in Lebanon. What else is there in the world? Yeah. And you
mm,
said it earlier. You said, you went through my resume and you said I was in aviation. Yes. And I finished school, and I said, before I study anything, before I do anything, I want to just get out of this cold country and explore the world. And I actually went and applied at Lufthansa and flew as a flight attendant for 7 years. 7 extraordinary years of my life. Because I can tell you something today. When I train people today, when I work with people today, I can say, yes, you study, you learn, you read books, you get certificates, you do so much in your life. But the one thing that taught me so much in my life, or most of the things, was traveling and seeing the world and seeing different cultures and learning that there is no right and wrong. There are different ways of thinking, and you cannot learn this from books. Yeah.
mm, mm,
And that attitude stayed with me. Okay, I then studied, I then got married, I then had my children. Again, just took opportunities as they came, and then moved with my family a lot. So we when my children were about 8, 9, 10, something like that, we moved to Dubai for the first time. This was in 2001, and as a family, it was a great experience, and also for the children, it was a great experience. Again, just throwing yourself into a new culture. Not knowing what will happen, not knowing what expects me here. We moved due to my husband's work, not my own, and it was really being thrown into something, but it was actually really, really superb. um, I moved from Dubai from 5 years later to Finland 3 years, which was again a totally different experience. Moved to Saudi Arabia, lived in Riyadh for a couple of years, and then came back. And, each and every one of these instances, each and every one of these experiences just threw me back. Whoom, okay, I'm back at scratch, back at zero. What can I do with that? And I think when
mm,
you are in your ordinary, when you are in your comfort zone, when you are doing your job, whatever it is, and you get used to that job year after year, you're doing the same thing, you are in your comfort zone, you tend to just become a little bit more lazy, I think.
mm.
Whereas if you are forced because of outer circumstances to do something new, then you start being creative, you start innovating yourself and changing a lot. So I think all of these forced moves did bring me to where I am today.
Thank you. Thank you for taking us and through that journeys. We were actually traveling with you in those places, and yeah. So, you mentioned about your parents, especially from the mentoring part,
Yes.
and now I just want to see, like, yes, traveling has shaped you as well as
Mhm.
some of now. Quite often, people, like, for example, you have taken a couple of interesting certifications in this journey. Now, what was the uh, reasons? What was the motivations which led you to explore those things? For example, like NLP is one area which you are in. Um, Second, NLP stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming. Maybe you can just give some bit more explanation to the
Mm,
audience,
mm,
as well as hypnotherapy and the various roles in which hypnotherapy helps. So, what was that uh, incidents which, or is there someone you who guided you in that process, that Mona, these are what you want to do, and how you proceeded and identified these programs? Couple of questions together.
mm. Yeah, yeah, and these are excellent questions and really good questions, especially for people who are maybe a little bit younger and mm, who don't know what to do with their lives sometimes. Um, as I said earlier, I started with regular psychology. Um, there was something for me personally, there was something missing. Yeah. And it's not because there is something missing, it was my beliefs about it. There was something missing. I wanted to go deeper. I wanted to also, what I don't like is diagnosing people, and this is a big part of it, obviously. And so, yes, you say there are people who just come in your life and shape you in some form or the other. And I studied in Germany, and Germany is very holistic and very open to different kinds of modalities. And so one of the things that I was confronted with was kinesiology. Now, kinesiology is the art of working actually with the inner, with the energy that is within you. And we all
Hmm.
know, I mean, we're made out of energy, right? So there is a
Yeah.
lot of energy in us. And when it's somehow disrupted, yeah, the energy inside of us, it disrupts our physical health, but also our mental and emotional well-being. So um I kind of was very, very intrigued by kinesiology. There is a very interesting thing that we do in kinesiology, that is muscle testing, right? So you have your hand, and you press on, you basically press on it, and your body will either resist or become weak. I know when I was in Germany, I did allergy tests this way. Yeah, allergy tests are done this way, but also emotional conflicts are somehow explored, because your subconscious will guide you towards what is actually good for you and what is not good for you, etc. Anyway, this was something that I really, really loved doing, and I did more certifications in that. And then went also into energy healing, like pranic healing is something that you probably know a little bit or heard of, or many people know Reiki. Reiki is very similar, but I did pranic healing. And then I remember in my pranic healing course, when I did that, there was a lady who said she teaches hypnotherapy. And I was just as naive and ignorant as many, many other people when it comes to hypnotherapy. And I said, whoa, what is that? Is that, that's scary. Well, now I know that it's not scary at all. But at that time, I didn't know what it was. And she said, no, no, everybody can learn that. And I said, well, that's exactly what I want, because that is the therapy session in hypnotherapy is basically allowing the person subconscious to go back and see, okay, where did that fear or limitation or belief about myself start? And it's just really changing your perception of that. I love that. I love that. And from this moment on, I started doing that more and more and more until I became even certified a couple of years later in certifying other people. So now I instruct people, I certify others to become hypnotherapy. And when you look at that simplicity of it, that when we change our perception of something, when we change how we look at, I'll just take a simple example, a dog, right? People are afraid of dogs. Other people are not afraid of dogs. Is the dog really scary, or is it our perception of it? I fly a lot. People are afraid of flying. Is the plane really that scary thing, or is it just me being scared? So all we do is really change our perception of things around us. But we can also change the perception of who we are, right? And that takes us back to, yeah, what is ordinary and what is extraordinary. Am I an ordinary person or not? It's my belief that will determine that, not
Yeah.
anything else. Yeah. And not any certification that I have, and not any position or role that I play or have, but really just what do I believe that I am? So that was, yeah, that was one of the big, I think, milestones in my life, that hypnotherapy. And in the same year, from hypnotherapy to NLP, it's just a step away because they're both very, very much related. So NLP stands for neuro linguistic programming, and it's really the art of how does our mind work? How do we communicate? How do we think? Why do we think we like things and we don't like things? Are we scared of things and not? How does the mind save all of these information bits? NLP was studied. So NLP was not studied, founded by studying other psychologists and seeing why are some really successful in what they're doing and others not. One of the psychologists that Bandler and Grinder, who actually founded NLP, one of the psychologists that they studied was Milton Erickson. Milton Erickson was a hypnotherapist without really knowing it. He did a lot of hypnosis without knowing it, but he also transformed lives and changed and helped a lot of people transform. Um, so they studied him and saw that when we start imagining things, when we start seeing ourselves as someone successful, when we start seeing ourselves as being able to do something that we weren't able to do, that this will shift actually our capabilities. Yeah, this is in a nutshell. I mean, there is much, much more to it. NLP also teaches that perception, right? So that I say, okay, I perceive things the way I see them. And we, both of us, might see things in a different way, same thing that we see. Yeah. But here's the thing, we react according to what we see or what we believe we see, not according to reality. Yeah. And so this is a really, I mean, this can help anyone in business, in relationships, in um, I did you're doing these podcasts now, and I think this is a fabulous, initiative here to just maybe inspire people who are on the verge of thinking, oh, can I or can I not? And when COVID started in 2020, and this was maybe one of the next experiences that hit me hard. I remember March 2020 I was March and April, I was fully booked. I had trainings almost every day somewhere. And then suddenly we stopped training, right? Face to face. We stopped, everything stopped. And here I was sitting at home thinking, ooh, what am I doing now? What shall I do? And this was still not the world of Zoom and Teams and, everything else that we're doing nowadays. And so I remember I thought, okay, you know what? How can we help people? And I went online, and I actually had a series that I did every single night. Every single night, it was called "It's Your Life," and it was about saying to people, you know what? Things happen, yeah, but it's about, and you cannot change what happens outside of you. You cannot change what happens in the world. You cannot change if there's COVID or not. But what you can do is change your mindset. Change, how do I want to respond to that event? And I, had a lot of colleagues and friends from all over the world who I also interviewed. And so that's why I was, of course, when you said come, I said yes, because I know how beneficial it is for the world to hear from different sides, from different points of views, get tips and hear people speak. Yeah. So so NLP was one of the things that also helped a lot of people there, just to change their perspective and their perception about what's happening in the world. Yeah. Saying, okay, COVID is there. Nobody can change it, but how can I get through it? How can I learn to adapt to living with my family at home, working from home, schooling from home, living all together, maybe in a small space? How can I still work and be successful? Yeah, and all of these things. And how can I also protect myself and keep myself from not getting sick? Because we know also that stress will affect your physical well-being also, right? So if I'm stressed about something, I will be affected negatively. So these are, yeah, some of the, you asked about hypnotherapy and LP. These are some of the certifications. Of course, I have, one thing leads to the other, and then you add a lot of other certifications to it. But yeah, let's stick to these two for the moment.
So I appreciate the continued learning uh, which you accomplished over in a couple of years, and you also, again, I remember I joined a couple of sessions you hosted during that COVID period, and you also
Yeah.
accepted an invite to one employee well-being session which we did for virtually. So thank you for all those support. Now, you mentioned something very important from a stuckness perspective. Like I feel stuck, and you also highlighted, sometimes when that stuckness feeling arises, it creates that level of stress internally
Mhm.
within our body. So
Yeah.
I think if you share some thoughts, for someone who feels being stuck, and sometimes that leads to a demotivation, that what can I do? So what are some ways in which people can reframe those situations, or navigate those challenging times? Maybe sometimes you have that inner chatter happening in your
Oh, yes.
mind. Yeah, so I just want to touch on those things with you, Mona.
Very interesting question. Yeah. So, how do you actually overcome that inner chatter, right?
Yeah.
Um, you know, One thing that just comes to my mind now and that I often discuss with clients is that talk to that chatter, talk to that voice, because that voice is just inside of you, right? Talk to it and challenge that, right? Say, well, who says that I cannot do that? Yeah. And again, we have some beliefs that we are brought up with, and it depends on the culture we grow up in. It depends on what did our parents say to us. That's another big topic, parenting. Yeah, I'm gonna get to that in a moment, because I think this is really, really crucial. But it depends really on the culture, on the parents, on the schooling, on the neighbors, and the whole environment that I grew up in. What are the beliefs that I have? And this becomes my own chatter. So it starts with people telling me things, and then I just believe it. And again, going back to the subconscious mind, what is the subconscious, right? The subconscious is just something that is inside of us that saves all the beliefs that I have about myself, that also saves all the habits that I learned from very young age on, because the subconscious is our automatic mind. Yeah, so it does things automatically without consciously analyzing them, without thinking about them, without saying, hmm, why am I actually saying I cannot do this? Consciously, we can think about that. But subconsciously, if I grew up in a way where I kept hearing, no, no, you can't, no, you can't, no, your brother is better, you're not good enough, etc., I will just believe that. And then I will not even bother. So, when you say that inner chatter, why can't we challenge that inner chatter and say, Who says I cannot do that? And then challenge yourself, speak to yourself. One of the things, for example, that I discuss often with my coaching clients is at night before you go to bed, don't watch things that scare you. Don't go over the things that you did not do in your during your day. Don't think about what proposal did I not finish? What training course did I not finish that I was supposed to do today? What happened? What conflicts did I have today? What conflict did I have with my boss? What did I say to my husband, to my children, whatever it is? Don't think about these things. But before going to bed, just stand in front of the mirror. And you know what? You're looking at yourself right now here in the screen. We don't need a mirror. We have a screen right now. If you really look at yourself and look at your eyes, look at really the soul inside of you, and I'm doing it with myself now, and tell yourself all the wonderful things that actually you were able to do during the day. And it doesn't need to be anything big. Start with small, small things. People think they are extraordinary. People think they do achieve things if they're big, big, big things. No, an achievement can be one step more than I did yesterday. An achievement can be one phone call that I did not do the day before, but I did it today. An achievement can be looking at the mirror and smiling to myself and saying, good day. Yeah. An achievement can be having had my, I don't know, my water today and felt like I'm giving something good to my body. Whatever it is, all of these are little achievements. It doesn't need to be a very, very big thing. And this will, over time, if you do this night after night, evening after evening, you look at yourself, speak to yourself, tell yourself these things. It will overlay all these beliefs that you had in the beginning. Now, one thing is also important for the subconscious. We have to feel it when we say it. Yeah. So, and there are people who say, yeah, I had a good day. Yeah, okay, it was good. I have to think positively. So let me think positively. That's not the way to do it. Yeah, because that will not bring you that real, real, real feeling. Our subconscious mind is the mind of feelings and emotions. So if we want to change this perception about myself, I need to really feel it. You know that saying, fake it till you make it? Be lie to yourself, fake, lie to yourself and saying, I'm great. I know I can do it. I can do it. Yeah. And one day you'll say, yeah, of course I can do it. Whoever said I cannot? Yeah. So and I mean, I know it sounds very, very simple and very short now, and it's not always that short, but it can be. It can be. Yeah. And of course, I mean, there are many, many more tips. I just think challenge yourself instead of listening to others, and this is one big tip that I can give to people. This is actually,
No,
Phoebe, you know that I wake up in the morning and when I'm in the bathroom in the morning and brush my teeth and look at myself, I actually smile at myself every morning and say, good morning, have a great day. I do that every single morning to
wow.
myself.
That's a wonderful practice, and I think that is interesting to people when they feel that. See yourself in the mirror, greet that person,
Mhm,
give him a well wish starting the
mhm,
day. So
mhm, mhm,
making it more having a smile, and because
mhm.
you are waking up to a new day.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. And it is a new day. It is, that's so important. It is a new day. And many people just, yesterday I didn't do that. And we people have feelings of guilt, of they blame others, they feel like they had to do something they didn't do, so they have that feeling of guilt, they have the feeling of sadness. Most people don't live the now. Yeah. I mean, there's
Mm,
this big if we're talking about mindfulness, that's another big tip. Be mindful of the moment, be mindful of today. I am now talking to you. Whatever happened this morning doesn't matter, because in
mm,
this moment I cannot change it. And so many times we go back to what happened to me in my life. It determines who I am today.
mm,
But that will only, well, If it's something positive, yes, I can choose to keep it in my memory. But if it's something negative, why should I think about that? Yeah. So when you say it's a fresh day, treat it as a fresh day. Treat it as today I can do whatever I want without my limitations of yesterday.
Wow, thank you. I think people feeling stuck, and people, today is a new day, and today is a fresh time we are each living in. So that's a great message which am receiving from you today. So I know we are conscious of the time. Unfortunately, give me a moment. Let me check if there are any questions in the LinkedIn. and,
Where can I
and
look here?
yeah. So
Yeah.
uh, if there is questions, please share that, and we may address it later on, not right now. And I just want to ask a closing question,
Hmm.
like, what are you most proud of, and what excites you about the future?
Ooh. How many hours do I have to speak about what excites me? I could go on and on. I have so many plans, so many things that excite me. What am I most proud of? Um, I think what I want to say now is I'm most proud of my boys, of my children. Um, I'm proud of not what they're doing in life, although I could, but I'm not. It's not that. It's their attitude towards life, their attitude towards people. They manage things. Whatever happens, they manage things. I have three boys. One of them is in Dubai, one of them is in Barcelona, and one of them is in Rotterdam at the moment. And they have moved quite a bit around the world also. I think the level of emotional intelligence that they have, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of there's actually an interesting story that I sometimes share in trainings and in my parenting courses. So my youngest son, when he was doing his IB, his International Baccalaureate, the IB coordinator came to him and said, "You know what? You're really good in a lot of things, but your essays, your English essays." So my youngest son studied computer science, and he was always good in programming and stuff like that, and that interested him. So the IB coordinator said to him, "You're really good in that, but your English essays, they're so short, and you could do so much more. You could do more." And so he looked at him and he said, "You know what? My mom always says, be happy and relaxed. And I am happy and relaxed." And I thought this was a wonderful message. And this is something that I'm very, very proud of, that they can keep their calm and relaxed state of mind, even in a situation where others go through, baccalaureate and exams and are stressed. Again, going back to that factor that stress will affect us mentally also. We'll be blocked, we'll not be able to think properly, will affect our health. Our whole systems will not work as properly, as naturally and healthily as they can. So yeah, I think this is one of my most
Proudest moment.
proudest moments. And because this is what I do, right? I mean, I help people be happy. I help people get the best out of them. And seeing it in my own children, I think this is for me a proof that it can be done. It can be done. And this is something that every single person, whether it's a new graduate starting his life, or if it's uh, like I say, most of my work is in corporations. Even someone who's been working since 30, 40, 50 years, you can change at that time. Yeah. My mother, who now lives with me since 1 year actually, she started diving when she was 60, scuba dive.
Mm.
And she did everything. She did night diving and rescue diving and shark feed diving and everything. She started at 60. So people often say, you know what, I'm too old for that, or my entire life, I do anymore because my entire life was this way. It's never too late, you know, to do something that you're passionate about, that you like doing. And I think when you really, really want to do something, I think everybody now, if you think about something that you really, really want to do, with that you're really passionate about, nothing can stop you. So find something that you're passionate about instead of thinking, I have to do it just because it's my career path, just because my parents wanted me to do it, this because I studied that. Who cares? You can change nowadays. You can do anything you want.
Thank you. I think that's a wonderful way to close the session. And to audience, I started interacting with Mona through a LinkedIn message, which we reached out. And when we first met, you gave me the card, human, Mona Santl, human. I still remember that and still have that card with me. So it is a pleasure to have you and have this engaging and interesting conversation. I hope to have many more of such conversations in future too, and be inspiring. Thank you for taking time and joining me.
Thank you so, so much, Phoebe, for having me. And yes, I don't know how many years it's been since I gave you that first card, but we've done a lot of training ever since, a lot of things together. Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you, audience, and please join us for our next conversation. So uh, thank you, Mona, for taking time, and we'll connect and catch up later. Thank you.
Thank you for everybody who's listening. And please connect with me if you would like to. I'd be happy to give you more tips also.